Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Farrell, here with my co-host, Andrew Tanzi, recapping a Week 5 in the NFL season. We're going to go over Week 6 right after our recap. We're going to break down every game, give out all our favorite bets on sides, totals, and player props along the way. Rue, how we feeling, my friend? How was Week 5 for you?
Yeah, another pretty solid week. Didn't turn as big of a profit as I did in previous weeks, but I felt like the games I missed on my handicaps were pretty spot on, just a few bad breaks in there. So honestly, I feel really good about where we're both at heading into week 6 here.
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of games where there was either you had a good handicap and you lost in a heartbreaking fashion, or maybe your team probably had no business winning, but they ended up miraculously covering or winning the game, and it was a wild week. So our debate of the week, I evened up the score here. We had the Browns and the Chargers, probably the game of the week in the NFL. I had Chargers -2. They got it done at the last minute. So we have an even 2-2 split on the year. How'd you feel about the Browns? That had to be a rough one for you.
Yeah, look, if you had told me the Browns were going to rush for over 200 yards and dominate the time of possession like they did, I would have felt pretty good about it. But the only reason they dominated the time of possession was because the Chargers only needed three plays to score almost every drive.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, again that was one of them. I felt like my bet was based on them being able to run the ball with success. I just didn't see this absolute implosion from the defense, which we've kind of been hyping up on here the last few weeks. So that was one I kind of lived with. I wasn't.
Yeah, I felt the opposite. Yeah. Like my handicap for the game was like I took the under in the game. I thought it was going to be a slower, grinded out type game. I thought the Chargers' run defense was going to be a lot better. Like I had this one totally wrong, but still ended up somehow on top. So you take those when you take them when you get them. Our favorite bets of the week. Rue, you came away with the dreaded push. The Packers -3. They had about 10 chances to win that game, 10 chances to lose that game. How'd that one go for you?
Yeah, that was another one, man. Like I felt like the Packers were in position a lot and they couldn't get it done in the red zone. So
God forbid they go for a touchdown. Let's just kick 18 field goals in the last 2 minutes.
Well, yeah, in overtime that was disappointing when they just played it safe after Mason Crosby missed 3 field goals. They get an interception and then they basically just run 3 conservative plays and play for a field goal. But yeah, that was another one. I mean, look, I no one likes getting a push, but I felt like in that scenario where the kicker's missing all those field goals to come out with a push, it felt like a win.
Yeah. So you go to 3-1-1 on the season. I actually jumped to 3-2. I had a Vikings-Ravens teaser that somehow came home. I had the Vikings at 1.5, the Ravens at -0.5. So easily could have lost both of them, but I will take it. I'm in the green now on the favorite bets of the week. Long shots of the week. You had a Bills-Browns money line parlay. Lost there, drops you to 1-4. Bills did their job. Browns did not. I had a Trey Lance over 50 rush yards and 49ers money line bet. The Trey Lance rush yards, that was like a gift from the gods last week. He was flying over that total. I think he went over in the first half. The Niners go 1 for 5 on 4th down. They had they had Trey Lance get stopped at the 1-inch line on 4th and goal. So I felt like the Niners had a chance to win that game, but didn't come through. So I go to 2-3 on my long shot.
Yeah, those Trey Lance props were an absolute gift last week. I took his rush attempts at 7.5, and I think he hit it in maybe 2 minutes into the second quarter. We'll never get him that low again. Well, he might not even be starting anymore. But those were a gift line.
The only reason I didn't go as hard on the Trey Lance props was just because I felt like a similar to how we felt when Justin Fields got his first start and he had 2 rushing yards. So I was like, all right, let me just hold back a little bit here because the line seems too low, but we've been down this road before and it didn't go well.
Yeah, I was the same way. So I definitely played that more conservative than I should have based on the outcome. But
yeah. But all right, we take the win. Parlay of the day. We go to 0-5. I mean, what can you even say at this point? Bucks halftime, full time, Titans money line, Bills money line. We're all easy winners. And then we have Jamison Crowder over 4.5 receptions. He has 4 receptions and a 2-point conversion. I think Zach Wilson missed them on an easy screen pass as well. So,
this is why parlays are a money pick, guys. This is why we changed the name.
Unless you do chalk donkey parlays, because those are undefeated on the year. Patriots, Bucks, Vikings, Ravens money line chalk donkey parlay hits again at +153. I think we're just going to need to ride the chalk donkey wave and get rid of the 4-leg parlay that always screws us. All right, prop sheet. We did not post one last week. We're going to be exploring some new options with that. We may do a prop sheet video. We may do some other things. A lot of times we get some props early in the week, so we can just give them out here on the show. But this week we don't have a ton, so we're going to play around with that and see how we want to get those props out to you guys.
Yeah, and feel free to DM us on Twitter too if you want to know what props we're on. If we don't put anything out, we're happy to answer any questions or help anyone if they're leaning in a certain direction.
Yeah. You can also follow us. Do you have your Action Network profile or your... I don't know if you can follow people on Chalkboard yet. We're working on that. But you can always follow us on Action Network. I think I'm BetRight_Jeff. I put all my sides, totals, and props up on there. What's your handle?
I am just Andrew_Tansey, and you can see the difference in the way Jeff and I bet. He probably has triple the amount of bets that I have in the NFL season so far.
Oh, yeah. Volume, baby. All right, let's go through our heroes and zeros of the week. Give me your hero.
Yeah, my hero is Lamar Jackson. Coming into the season, it was Lamar can't pass. Ravens can't play from behind. He's not accurate. Well, he came out, completed 80+% of his passes, over 400 yards, came from a huge deficit late in the third quarter, helped cash a couple teasers for me. And, I think if they pull out a win this week and he has another statement game, I think he's the front runner for MVP at this point in my mind.
I was surprised he was still so far down the MVP list. I mean, he wasn't like far down, but he was still like the 5th choice. I think he was like plus 1,400, and like Josh Allen was up to like plus 400. I was shocked by that. I thought Lamar would have been right up there at the top.
Yeah, given what the Ravens have overcome with injuries this year, and you can say what they want about the way they've won games. Yeah, they almost lost to the Lions. They almost lost to the Colts. They're 4-1 right now, losing their entire running back room, their best cornerback, offensive lineman. It's amazing. They're 4-1 right now, and if they can come out with a win this week, in my mind, there's no question Lamar should be the front runner.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I know you're holding that ticket, so you're going to be rooting for it.
Yeah, no bias in that. No bias in that whatsoever. Yeah.
My hero of the week is not necessarily a person, but the witching hour for me. That 1 p.m. slate of games was absolutely bonkers. You had Steelers, Broncos come down to a goal line stand by the Steelers to hold on for the win. Patriots kick a last-second field goal to beat the Texans and come from an 11-point deficit. The Vikings fumble the game away and then take it right back with a crazy last-second field goal. And then obviously the the Packers Bengals game was just madness with missed kicks every 5 seconds. And I mean, that was just like peak NFL experience watching those 1 o'clock games come to an end. That was incredible. So the witching hour, my hero of the week. Your zero of the week is
just NFL kickers, and it's I don't even need to go into
all
depth.
of them.
Just every single one. I think there was close to 15 extra points missed. Field goals missing left and right. I can't even remember every kicker that missed them because there was just so many. So
any kicker that you know is in the league, he probably missed one.
Yeah, just get it together. I mean, I'll say the cliche. You guys, you have one job. Make the kick, especially the extra points. There's just no excuse for missing extra points.
Just start going for 2. Stop kicking field goals and start going for 2.
It honestly, like the key numbers of 3 and 7,
it ruins them. Yeah,
it ruins them when you're missing so many kicks. So
it just comes down to raw points when you have all these weird scores in there. So my zero of the week, kind of along the same lines, but Matt LaFleur, head coach of the Green Bay Packers. I mean, you just got to learn your lesson. Like, you have Aaron Rodgers, probably the best quarterback in the league, and you're kicking a field goal on 3rd down in overtime after Mason Crosby has already missed 2 kicks, and all you're running is some BS run plays to just set up a field goal. And then, like I said, you kick it on 3rd down. Like, just go score a touchdown. And he's settling for like a 45-yard field goal. It wasn't like it was like a 25-yard chip shot. Like, just for someone like, yes, I had the Packers in a bunch of, I think I had their money line in that game. So like, I did win that bet, but like, to bet the over in that game was like one of the most excruciating experiences ever. That game should have had like 60 points and it didn't even go over 47. It was unbelievable. Yeah. So Matt LaFleur, my zero of the week.
All right.
All right. Do we have a Tansey's tip of the week this week?
No, I don't have anything this week, actually.
All right. Well, that's unfortunate.
Do we have a Varello's or Jeff's jumbled, whatever we called it last week?
Yeah, I can pull something together here. Let's talk about teaser prices. I don't know if we've ever mentioned
Yes.
this on the show here, but there is a discrepancy at some of the books in the industry. The standard like market 6-point teaser these days is going for around a -120. If you can find a book that offers better than -120, that's fantastic. Occasionally, I'll see like a weird Fox bet one will give you like -110. So I certainly try and take advantage of them, but just be mindful of the prices that you're paying for these teasers. That FanDuel specifically has upped their prices this season. So a standard 6-point teaser on FanDuel is now -134. And we don't need to dig into like the math behind this, but essentially, if you're paying -134 for a 6-point teaser, you're losing all the value that was created by that teaser. Like, you really need the price to be ideally anywhere under -130. But if you can just get the -120, it's available on DraftKings, it's available on Barstool, the books that we have available in PA. That's crucial. If you're betting, teasers are only valuable at a certain price. So if you're paying -134 for them, not valuable. If you're creating 7-point teasers at -170 or whatever they offer them, probably not valuable. The 6-point teaser at -120 is the money spot. That's where you want to be.
And I probably wouldn't go over -120. You said -130. I'd probably cap it at -120.
I think there's some math that says like it's a little bit valuable, like up to -130.
Yeah,
like the
your
last
hit rate
point.
would just have to be extremely high, to turn a
The
profit.
more juice you pay, the harder it is to make money on them.
And then just a couple other things. Don't tease totals because there's not numbers that are really key numbers. I mean, there's numbers that are landed on more often, but not in terms of like 3 and 7 in totals. And when you are teasing spreads, always make sure you're teasing through. I always try to tease through two key numbers of 3 and 7. So I'm taking these underdogs at 2.5, tease them over 8.5 or something like that, and then same thing with favorites, teasing down. And then never tease across 0 either. Like if you're teasing from 6 +6 or +3 to -3, there's just not enough there to be valuable.
If you have a -3 team and you don't necessarily want to lay 3 points, just bet their money line.
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
tease through 0 because you're not really gaining any value in the 2, the 1, the other 1, and then the other 2. Like, you're just wasting numbers. Just bet their money line if you want to do that. Lay the -150 or whatever it is. Don't waste your money on a 6-point teaser to get from -3 to +3.
Yeah, and I will say, I started really doing teasers last year, and look, they're not fun bets. They're not these sexy bets, but
they're incredibly fun. What are you talking about? They make so much money. We bank on them every week.
Yeah, no. I'm saying like compared to like it's like it's essentially somewhat of a parlay. It's not like a fun parlay or anything. It's a -120, boring, whatever.
Boring to me.
They have been so profitable for us the last 2 years that I can't recommend them enough, honestly.
Yeah, if I could just every week, like the first thing I do is look for what are going to be the teaser legs this week. Who are the teams in the 7 to 8 point favorites, the 1 to 2 point underdogs, that kind of thing. So,
and there's not many this week, unfortunately.
There's a couple, but yeah,
I didn't have the time.
Not as good as last week. Last week was a teaser heaven. So,
yeah.
All right, are we ready to jump into week 6?
Let's do it.
All right, Thursday Night Football. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are 7-point home dogs. Over under is 52.5. A lot of injuries going on here. Eagles going to be without Lane Johnson. Dallas Goedert is on the COVID list. Sounds like he's probably going to sit. Not a huge loss since we do have Zach Ertz. Bucks looks like they're going to be without Carlton Davis, cornerback, Levante David at linebacker, and Rob Gronkowski at tight end. So both teams coming in a little bit banged up. Let's start with the Tom Brady thumb injury. From all indications, it does sound like he's going to play. It was taped up at practice. Doesn't sound like there's any major worries, but does this give you any pause at all when it comes to betting on the Bucks or maybe betting on some of like Brady's passing totals, receiving totals, anything like that?
Well, I think it would make me lean more towards maybe looking at Leonard Fournette props if they try to lean more heavily on the run. I think he's clearly become the number 1 running back. Last I saw, his rush attempts were at 13.5, which haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. I want to see if it maybe goes down to 12. I think it was down at 12.5 at one point, but it doesn't really concern me. But from a standpoint of backing the Bucks, if you wanted to go that route, because I think Brady will be fine, but maybe they just try and lean on the run a little bit more.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I was initially looking at Brady over 2.5 passing touchdowns. I think it was at like plus 110. I shied away just because of the thumb injury, but I think he's going to be fine. I laid 6.5 here with the Bucks. I'm fine with
Woo!
that. Saying ooh for. I he threw me all off. I played the Bucks in teasers. This is probably my favorite, maybe second favorite teaser leg of the week. And I also played them over 3.5 team touchdowns at minus 115. I just don't see how this Eagles defense is going to be able to stop the Bucks offense. I know the Eagles played pretty well on defense last week, but there's just too many weapons here. I'm not too concerned about the thumb injury. I think the question is really just, can the Eagles offense put up enough points to cover? I don't think they can quite get there. What do you got?
What if I told you Tom Brady hasn't covered in 10 straight primetime games? Would that scare you at all?
Well, he has.
He hasn't.
I would consider the Super Bowl pretty.
All right, okay.
Pretty prime time.
Every playoff game is prime time. I'm
so you're just going to throw out the most important games of the entire season? Yeah, excluding the ones that really matter. He hasn't covered in 10 years.
All right, all the stats we give on here are regular season stats. I'm not including
They're
playoffs.
Not always regular.
Regardless,
the Super Bowl is important.
Regardless, I'm not laying the points with the Bucks. I have a carryover teaser from Monday night. I teased the Ravens with the Bucks, so I have that in right now. Look, this is
enough. You didn't have enough Ravens teasers as it was. You needed to have one more.
Yeah, right. This is a dream matchup for Nick Sirianni, honestly, because you can't run the ball against the Bucks, so he can just abandon it right off the bat and not even bother trying.
Built-in excuse.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, Bucks are top 3 on both sides of the ball in adjusted line yards. Eagles are bottom 5 on defense and 18th on offense. So there's just a huge advantage in the trenches for Tampa Bay. Eagles had timely turnovers last week that were gifted to them by Sam Darnold. You're not getting them from Brady this week. I was waiting to see if Winfield would be back in the Bucs secondary, which he's not going to be. So I don't know, man. I'd be scared laying the points here with the Bucs just with these injuries in their secondary. They're desperate in their secondary right now, and we've seen the Eagles be able to move the ball, especially at the end of games. I think they have the ability to rack up.
I just don't think there's enough firepower on the Eagles offense. I really don't.
I mean, that's fine, but how much firepower do you need when with how decimated this Bucs secondary is? I don't think.
I mean, I'm expecting the Bucs to put up 30 plus points, so you need a decent amount of firepower to cover 6.5. You're asking the Eagles to score 27.
I think if this creeps, if we end up getting like an 8.5, I'm probably gonna end up taking the Eagles. It's too many points for me to lay.
I don't know about that. We'll see. We'll see if the line's really been pretty steady. It dipped down to 6.5 for maybe a couple hours, but it's pretty much been holding firm at 7. So we'll see if there's much movement on game day. Player props. You got anything here? I have a couple I like, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna wait to see if Leonard Fournette's attempts go down. Maybe look at his yards. I'm not sure yet.
I did play his yards already.
And then I think you just have to kind of consider Miles Sanders unders in basically every category in this game.
Yeah, so I took Miles Sanders under 34.5 rush yards and under 9.5 attempts. I think we've already said it. Tampa has the best run defense in the league. Opposing running backs are averaging 9 carries per game for 32 yards, and that is heavily skewed by Sony Michel going 20 for 67 in week 3. Sanders is splitting snaps with Kenny Gainwell, and he's averaging less than 7 carries over the past 3 weeks. So love those unders on Sanders. I also did play Lenny Fournette over 87.5 rushing plus receiving yards. This was up around 95.5 on DraftKings, so I thought there was quite a bit of value. 8 yards less here on FanDuel, so I took a bite at that. He's taking a stranglehold on that backfield. And then I took a small piece of Javonte Smith under 74.5 yards. I don't love taking unders for good players, but this line is just too high. Smith's been lined in the high 40s, low 50s pretty much every game. I know the Bucs have a banged up secondary, but I just couldn't get there. 74.5 for Javonte Smith. That was just that was just too high. I had to play the under, and it has gone down to like 71.5 now, so it's probably out of the range I would touch it. I think a fair price for him is like mid 60s.
Yeah, I can't. Look, we're saying how they're not going to be able to run the ball. They're going to be throwing the ball this entire game. I can't. He's still their number 1 receiver, and I can't take it.
It was the same. we basically had a similar situation a couple weeks ago that unfortunately we didn't get it out on the pod, but we were texting Jamar Chase on that Thursday night game against the Jaguars. His prop opened up at like 58.5 by game time. It was up to like 78.5. And I don't know if you ended up biting, but I
That
ended
was
up
a
playing the
completely different scenario, though. That's against the Jaguars. You can run the ball against Jaguars. We're talking about the Eagles running back having under 9.5 rush attempts here. They're going to be throwing the ball all game.
Yeah, I'm just saying it was like a number one receiver that like I played an under on because I felt like the line
Yeah,
was
that's
just too high
fine,
to
but it's
play.
still somewhat matchup based. And that was more that the line opened and skyrocketed to 20 yards based or up 20 yards because everyone was hammering it up. So it was like there's got to be some value on here, but I don't know. This is a completely different scenario for me, at least.
All right, ready to move on to the Sunday slate.
Let's go to London.
All right, going back to London, back to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We have the Miami Dolphins taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars are 3-point favorites right now. Over-under is up to 47. We do not have official word on Tua. It sounds like he's trending towards playing, but no official word. I think Devontae Parker and Will Fuller are both questionable right now. I don't know if we have definitive word
I
on
think
any
Fuller's
of them.
definitely out.
Okay, Fuller's out. Parker's questionable. No injuries I am seeing on the Jaguars. I'm hoping that Brissett plays here. I really like the Jaguars here. As gross as that sounds, I feel like a lot of people in the industry seem to be on the Dolphins. I'm going the other way. I want Brissett to start here. If Tua does play, I'm going to see if I can find the Jaguars at 4, maybe even 3.5. There's just, even if Tua plays, like you have cluster injuries at wide receiver, bad offensive line play, running back rotation that makes no sense. Their defense can't stop the run. I think this is a good spot for Trevor Lawrence to put his stamp on the game and get the first win here.
Man, look, once I got the hook at 3.5, I jumped on the Jaguars, and it wasn't like a full play for me. And then I dove into the numbers even more, and I love this play. This was in contention for my favorite bet of the week, believe it or not. I love the Jaguars at 3.5. And when we bounce plays off each other all week. And when I told you I was on the Jaguars, I was hoping you would talk me off the cliff, but you grabbed my hand.
I was right there with you.
You grabbed my hand and we jumped off together. So we're both skydiving together here on Sunday morning. These are two teams that just they're evenly matched teams based on what's happened this season so far. Miami's 30th in team DVOA, Jags are 31. Jaguars are actually number 2 in the league in offensive rush DVOA. And listen to these running backs against Miami this year. Damian Harris, 23 for 100 in week 1. Week 2, Devin Singletary, 13 for 82, 6.3 yards per carry. Peyton Barber in week 3, 23 for 111. Jonathan Taylor, 16 for 103. And then last week, Leonard Fournette, only 12 carries, but 67 yards, 5.6 yards per carry. James Robinson's been on a tear right now. I'm hoping they give him his 18 plus carries that he's been getting. And I really think that could be, I think the Jaguars can take advantage of that and ride him to a victory. The biggest weakness of this Jacksonville team, they have a lot of weaknesses, but the biggest weakness is their pass defense. And regardless if Tua or Brissett's in there, I don't think it'll be enough. They have the 4th worst offensive pass DVOA in the league. They looked bad with Tua. They've looked bad with Brissett. If Lawrence can just limit these dumb turnovers and they just commit to James Robinson, I think the Jaguars have a great chance at winning this game. And I just absolutely love 3.5 here. I would probably make this game close to a pick 'em in London, honestly.
Yeah, I just don't see how at this point you make the Dolphins over a field goal favorite against anyone on a neutral field.
Yeah, and I feel like the Jaguars have had some success moving the ball in games. They just constantly shoot themselves in the foot, whether it be Lawrence interceptions or just stupid mistakes. I don't know, man. I'm gonna come back next week and just absolutely crap on myself for being so high on the Jaguars and freaking Urban Meyer, but here we are. And give me all the James Robinson props when they're posted. I can't wait to see what his rush yards are at.
Oh yes, going to be all over James Robinson. I think you broke it down perfectly. Over rush yards, if we can get anything honestly under 90, I'm fine with it. give me a touchdown for him. And then I also think it's a decent spot to go back to Trevor Lawrence over rush yards. We talked about that upward trajectory last week. It kind of leveled off a bit versus the Titans, but he still ran for 7 carries, 28 yards and a touchdown, smashed the over 18.5 we had in. So if we get Lawrence anywhere under that like 23.5 mark, I'm going to be playing him over as well. And I may even look for some SGPs in this game. Maybe go like Robinson over rush yards, a touchdown, Jaguars money line, maybe get something like the plus 350, plus 400 range.
Yeah, and why is it so hard for Urban Meyer just to commit to James Robinson? What is this love for Carlos Hyde? Robinson hasn't played over 70% of snaps in any game that Carlos Hyde's been in, and the one game Hyde was out, he played 90% of snaps against the Bengals. So stop just putting in Carlos Hyde for the sake of putting in Carlos Hyde. I mean, look, Robinson's still getting the work when Hyde's there, but he could be in line for over 20 carries if he would play 75 to 80% of the snaps.
Yeah, they asked him at the end of the game, last game, why Robinson wasn't in on the 4th and goal situation late in the fourth quarter. And he said, I didn't even know he wasn't in there. He had no idea.
Unbelievable.
Great head coach.
That makes me feel great about having a bet on them this week. Too,
yeah. Urban Meyer is going to lead us to victory.
Yeah.
No problem. Any other props for you? I can't make a case for really anyone on the Dolphins. I don't know what this team is right now.
Nothing.
All right, let's go to Texans and the Colts. Colts are 10-point home favorites. Over under is 42.5. This one should be pretty interesting. Both teams found a way to blow large double-digit second-half leads last week. Colts in desperate need of a win. I just think this is too many points. I'm trying to wait and see if we can get a 10.5. If we can, I might dip my toes into the water with the Texans, but you never feel great about taking the Texans regardless of how many points you're getting. Do you have a play on the side here?
The fact that the first 2 games we're talking about, I have a bet on the Jaguars and a bet on the Texans.
Oh, you can't follow it up with the Texans.
Oh my God, dude. Texans plus 10. So I was mad at myself. I didn't take it at 10 earlier in the week because it dipped down to 9.5.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was coming back, but it came back. It came back tonight. This is a prime spot for the Texans. You got the Colts on a short week, completely banged up. They've Darius Leonard's I think he was in concussion protocol. Xavier Rhodes in concussion protocol. They had a couple other secondary pieces. I don't see. I would make this probably like 7 or 8. 10 points is just way too much here. If the Colts have all these banged up pieces in their secondary and they sit in that zone defense that they were sitting in late in that game, I don't care who's at quarterback. Davis Mills is still an NFL quarterback that can pick that apart and move down the field. So
he looked good last week.
Yeah, and he looked good last week. He's coming off a great game. Obviously, they didn't get it done, but they got the cover. And yeah, just give me 10 points here, and we are backing the Jags and the Texans to start the podcast.
The only thing that concerns me a little bit is the Texans' rush defense has not been good. I believe they're 30th in the league against the run, and I worry that the Colts just pound it with Jonathan Taylor and the Texans can't stop them.
But we still see, I'm waiting for some regression from this Colts team in the red zone, and they had another red zone turnover last week, and then I think there was another time Wentz got sacked and moved them out of the red zone. I don't know. Maybe regression's not going to come for this team when they get in the red zone, so they can move the ball they want. But if they're settling for field goals and turning the ball over, I don't know, man. I give me 10 here. Give me the 10.
All right. How do you feel about the over? Because I played the over at 42.5. I just don't see. I know that these offenses have struggled, but I don't understand how the total is this low, as bad as the Colts defense is, and we know the Texans have a bottom 5 defense in the league. I don't see who's getting stops here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not playing it personally. I would probably go over if I was taking a side, but yeah, it's not one I'd be excited about. I think that's part of the reason I also like the 10 is because it's such a low totals and I'm getting 10 points in a 42. But yeah, maybe. I don't know. Not one I would love.
All right. Well, I played it, so I'm in. I'll
take your guy Brandon Cooks this week, though.
Player props. We're back on Brandon Cooks, baby.
He had 2 down weeks, so he might get a little bit of a discount here. So
yeah, and we saw what Hollywood Brown did to this Colts defense last week. If you look at the Colts defense, they have actually been second against the run in DVOA, 30th against the pass. So this sets up for a great passing game from Davis Mills again. Brandon Cooks overs are back in full effect. And like I said, I'm also going to be looking at Jonathan Taylor. If we can get him somewhere in the low to mid 60s, maybe get him for a touchdown around minus 120, something like that. I think that could be a good spot for Taylor as well. Maybe a little Brandon Cooks, Jonathan Taylor SGP.
Yeah, and if anyone doesn't know what DVOA is, it's basically just it takes a team and measures their efficiency and kind of quantifies it. It basically just weighs every single play based on the situation and opponent, and just kind of, like I said, quantifies that. You can get it for the total team, offense, defense, pass, rush, all that stuff. So it's basically just a way of determining a team's efficiency, and that's just one of the probably hundreds of stats we use when looking into games and trying to handicap them.
And you can get them over at footballoutsiders.com. Not a sponsor of the podcast, but we do use their services. We love their website. They have a premium membership option, but they have a ton of their content is totally free. So I think you can get all the DVOA rankings for offense and defense for free if you just go to footballoutsiders.com. So would highly recommend. Moving on to the Packers and the Bears. Bears, 4.5-point home favorites. Over under is 44.5. Aaron Rodgers has owned the Bears and Matt Nagy in his tenure with Chicago. I just think that this line is pretty accurate. Like I keep trying to make a case one way or the other. If the line moved, I might look at it, but I just really can't make a case either way here. I think this line is honestly perfect, and I have no play on this one.
Yeah, I don't have a play on the spread. Look, you said it. Rodgers dominates them. Green Bay's 9-1 in their last 10, 8-2 against the spread. Sorry, that's their last 10 in Chicago. 17-3 overall and 15-5 against the spread in their last 20. So he's had their number for over a decade, and the point differential is 200 in those games. So they're outscoring them by an average of 10 points per game.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. So look, the Bears, I think they've somewhat turned a corner. I'm not going to, they won a game last week. Their defense, I think, has looked a lot better since the start of the season. I like the Packers to win this game, but my play's on the under here. Like I said, the Bears defense has looked a lot better. The Packers have had some problems in the red zone. They're 55%, which is 27th in the league. And look, you don't expect much from the Bears offense at this point, regardless of who they're playing and how banged up the Packers are on defense. There's no downfield passing game. It's more of just a slow pace and run the ball and play good defense type of team. So I like the under at 45 here.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I feel like I keep waiting for the Bears offense to start using Justin Fields' rushing ability more, like getting him out of the pocket, bootlegs, rollouts, design carries. And I just can't figure it out. 9 carries for 25 yards over the last 3 games. When we saw him, I mean, he was running in the preseason. He was over, I think, 40 rushing yards in 2 different games in the preseason. We expected that to be part of his game. I don't know. Until we see that, I don't really think that this Bears offense is going to give you much, especially missing their starting running back, David Montgomery. I don't think handing the ball to Damian Williams 20 times is going to beat the Packers.
Yeah, and I thought the Packers defense looked a lot better than I expected last week with all the injuries they had. They let up a couple big plays to Jamar Chase, obviously, but outside of that, I thought they held their own in a game. We both had the over, and I think from the stuff I listened to and read, a lot of people's expected the Bengals to kind of light them up here, but I thought they held their own pretty well. So
they got three sacks on Burrow, and they did get a bunch of pressure on the defensive line that I was not expecting.
Yep.
Any props here for me? I saw Davante Adams receiving yards opened at like 99.5. The Bears are very bad against opposing wide receiver ones, but I mean, it's just getting out of hand here when we're at 100 receiving yards as the line to hit a minus 110 bet. So,
well, it's crazy without MVS. It's just not that he's a target monster, but he stretches the field for them. So this offense,
he's basically Davante Adams and Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Exactly. It's just Rodgers and Adams, and then you're going to get games from Aaron Jones where he has big games. But and they still can't stop it. Like Adams is their only passing target getting consistent work, and he still goes for 200 yards last week. Unbelievable.
Yeah, crazy. All right, let's move on here to our next game. We have the Kansas City Chiefs, the 2-3 Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Washington Footballs. Footballs are a 6.5-point home underdog. Over under is 55.5, 56, depending on where you're looking. Chiefs got a little beat up on Sunday Night Football. Obviously lost the game. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to go on IR. Tyreek Hill got a little banged up. Travis Kelce got a stinger. Sounds like they're going to be fine. Curtis Samuel hurt his groin again for the footballs. This is like a 7-month groin injury that he just can't seem to get over. As bad as the Chiefs have played this season, I just don't know how the Washington defense can ever stop the Chiefs offense. Like, they're giving up Hail Marys and plays down the field to the New Orleans Saints. Like, how do they ever stop the Chiefs? Like, I don't think the Chiefs can stop the football. So, like, that's why the total is so high. But I like the Chiefs here in teasers. I haven't laid points with them. I don't think I can, but I'm very comfortable with them in teasers. And I also played their team total over 3.5 touchdowns.
Yeah, we're both holding Chiefs win total tickets for the season, so that's not feeling too good right now. I think it's like 12.5 or something, but I don't think either of us expected their defense to be as bad as it is right now. Both these teams, you have the second and fourth worst DVOA against the pass, so this game's going to come down to which Taylor Heineke we get. I feel like there's times he goes out there and he looks like a really good quarterback, really accurate. He's moving the ball downfield, has a nice rapport with Terry McLaurin. But then other times it's like, yeah, that's why this guy was a backup. So, I don't know what we're going to get this week. Like you said, I don't feel comfortable laying the points. I feel pretty good the Chiefs are going to win the game because I don't see the footballs keeping pace with them. So, teasers, money line, that's the route I'm going to go here.
Yeah, I think like you said, just the inconsistency of Taylor Heineke. I think he's going to make some big throws, put up some points, but I think we're also going to see those mistakes. He might throw an interception. Maybe Tyrann Mathieu gets one. And I think if you turn the ball over once or twice against this Chiefs team, you're just putting yourself in such a hole because I don't think their defense is going to be able to get any stops. Rue, I don't know if you've checked your calendar. Have you seen what day it is on Sunday? It's a national holiday.
I'm not aware.
At least it's going to be. I am officially declaring Sunday National Ricky Seals-Jones Day.
Oh, God.
All right. We don't have the lines yet, but I'm expecting somewhere in the 40s, and I am going to be all over Ricky Seals-Jones. So let me sell you on it. Last week, his first start filling in for the injured Logan Thomas. He played 82 of 83 offensive snaps against the Saints, saw 8 targets, including 3 end zone targets, caught 5 passes for 41 yards. They used him in the slot. They used him on the outside. This is a 6'5", 245-pound monster. As I mentioned, Curtis Samuel back on the injury report. De'Ami Brown, not really a part of this offense. He's going to be their number 2 option in the passing game. This Chiefs defense is dead last in DVOA against the pass, 27th against opposing tight ends. Dawson Knox just went full ham all over them last week. And if that analysis wasn't brilliant enough, guess what? It's a Ricky Seals-Jones revenge game. This guy spent half of last season on the practice squad for the Chiefs. Rue, I ask you, can I get an arf arf?
I'm in. I'll ride.
Let's go.
I'll ride the seal. I'll ride the seal. Let's ride the seal.
All right, we're riding the seal. I don't know what other props I'm going to have in this game, but I think there's definitely going to be a ton of overs you can look at. Maybe you look at McLaurin. Kelce and Hill are always going to be so high up, but I think we both expect a ton of points in this game.
If you can't get excited for a Sunday having money on Ricky Seals-Jones, then you don't like football.
Then this is not the podcast for you. All right, let's jump to a very close spread game here. We've been hovering right around a pick'em, the Minnesota Vikings and the Carolina Panthers. I believe it's flip-flopping between which team is favored by 1 point, but it's going to be right around that -1 pick'em range. Over-under is 46.5. We do not have official word on Christian McCaffrey. I would expect him to play, but you never know. Maybe they just hold him out for an extra week to make sure he's fully healthy. I need your help here. I really want to like the Vikings here. I took a small piece of them in a teaser when it was 1.5, getting them up to 7.5. I feel like they're the better team. There's something holding me back from taking this. Do you have a strong feeling here? Because I'm struggling.
Yeah, I have no play on the spread. I can't trust.
Really?
I can't trust the Vikings. I'm on the under 46.5 here. These are two offenses that they're both just trending in the wrong direction at this point. Honestly, Vikings had scored 7 points 2 weeks ago, 19 points last week against the freaking Detroit Lions. They should have scored 30 plus points against them. Panthers had 18 against the Eagles. And they had 28 against Dallas, but they had 14 in the first 3+ quarters and then scored 2 late garbage time touchdowns. Both teams are top 5. Sorry, both teams are top 5 in adjusted sack rate on defense and getting pressure on the quarterback. So I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. Give me the under 46.5 here.
Wow. I mean, that if you're not willing to take a team against the Carolina Panthers, that says something to me.
And
you
both
are
teams bottom 10 on offense on third down percentage. So both teams not staying on the field. So everything here when I looked into it was pointing to an under for me.
okay. I guess I could get on board with that. I still have this thing in my mind where I think the Vikings are an over team, and I played the over in their game last week again. Didn't come through. There's just so many weapons on this offense. I love Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, or Alexander Madison. Either one. Cousins has been fine, but
it just seems like they have the most poorly timed sacks and penalties. Yeah. It seems like they're always behind the 8 ball. They're in 2nd and long, 3rd and long, and they just, I don't know, man. They just can't figure it out, and they're just going, like I said, they're trending in the wrong direction right now. So,
yeah. All right. Maybe I'll keep thinking about this Vikings play, but no official plays for me yet. I didn't really have many thoughts on props here. I think I got Alexander Madison. I called his touchdown prop at like plus 110 last week because Dalvin was like a last minute scratch. So keep an eye on that. If they do price Dalvin like he's going to be the full-time starter and Madison's definitely going to be the backup, just keep an eye on that because there's not official word on whether or not Dalvin's going to be back. Same thing with McCaffrey and Chuba Hubbard. You could do the same kind of thing. Yeah, I don't really have any other props here.
Nothing for me. Nope.
All right, moving on. Big game in the AFC. Let's go Chargers, Ravens. Ravens are 3-point home favorites. Over under is 52. These are 2 of the 3 4-1 teams in the AFC battling for that top seed and the all-important home field advantage in the playoffs. The other one being the Buffalo Bills. Ravens, obviously, I mean, really both teams coming off an emotional victory, crazy last minute, last second field goals, touchdowns to win the game. What do you got here? I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I want to be able to say Baltimore's going to be able to come in here, run all over this defense, but it's almost like Baltimore shifted towards being a passing team with all these injuries to the running backs and on the offensive line. I mean, right now, Baltimore's 25th in adjusted line yards on offense, and they're getting stuffed on 19% of their runs, which is 7th worst in the league. And Lamar's averaging over 300 pass yards per game. So I don't know what to make of this offense right now.
Yeah.
Look, Lamar, like I said, I think he's playing at an MVP level, being 4-1 right now. So I'm still high on this Ravens team. Obviously, everyone is googly eyes over the Chargers right now after putting up 47 points last week. Brandon Staley has figured out that it's easier to get a first down using 4 downs instead of 3. So guy is an absolute genius. But look, it really scares me backing this Chargers team for that reason. I mean, they're converting 4th downs at an 87% clip right now, which, look, naturally, the numbers don't lie. That's not a sustainable number. So there's going to be regression at some point. And I've said this a lot on the podcast this year about regression and not patting myself on the back. I'm just saying more than often I've been right in these regression standpoints. If you're going for 4th and 8s and 4th and 3s on your own 30-yard line, it looks great when you get them. But what the 1 or 2 times he's not going to get them, I mean, that would have cost them the game last week if they didn't get all those 4th downs. Some of them they went for. So
but on the other side, like, what choice did they have? Their defense couldn't stop the Browns. Like, if it's 4th and 3 and they're going to punt the ball, like, the Browns were scoring every time they touched it. Like,
no,
what else
I understand
were they
that.
to do?
And I'm not even saying it was the wrong call. That's not the argument I'm making. I'm just saying that there's going to be some regression in converting all of them. Baltimore's defense, I don't know what happened on Monday night. They made Carson Wentz look like freaking Tom Brady out there. It was disgusting to watch. But
yeah, I'm really worried about their cornerback too. Marlon Humphreys obviously got one side locked down, but Anthony Averett was getting absolutely torched. Wentz was targeting him on every single throw. Like, when you have Keenan Allen and Big Mike Williams out there, like, one of them is going to be going up against Averett on almost every play, and I can almost guarantee you they're going to be able to get open on this guy. Like, that really worries me.
And the run game too. The linebackers were a huge issue for them. So Yeah, look, it's scary. I think Baltimore D will figure it out. Right now, this number it just seems right to me. So I know the Chargers. They already are. I think like 95% of the bets are on the Chargers. You had to know they were going to be a public play here. So just seems right to me. So right now, it's a stay away.
I was one of those, took the Chargers. I got them at 3.5. I like getting the hook. At 3, it's probably a no play for me. If it did ever get down to 2.5, maybe you could consider the Ravens. But I just really like what this Chargers team is doing. I am backing the Chargers here.
Yeah, but here's my thing. Like, yeah, they scored 47 last week. Everyone was all over them. You can't, like, their offense looks great, but like they scored 17 against Dallas early in the season. So it's not like they can't have a down game. Yeah, they've looked great for most of the season, but every offense is going to have setbacks at some point. So you can't just look at them scoring 47 last week and have that as the baseline for, yeah, the Ravens defense looked like crap. The Chargers put up 47 last week. I'm not saying that's what you did. I'm just saying from a general perspective.
Yeah, I agree. No, yeah, they're not going to put up 40 points every week.
And the Ravens still do. They still do have that ability to take control of the game by running the ball. I said I think they're shifting towards a passing offense. They don't have the greatest offensive line numbers and stuff right now, but with Lamar Jackson, I think they always have that ability.
Okay. Any props you would look at here? We do not have lines yet. I don't really have anything. I think there's a lot of good players on either side. Maybe you go back to Hollywood Brown. But we know this Chargers defense likes to try and limit the deep plays, so it's probably not a great matchup for him. What do you got? Anything? Any leans?
Yeah, I loved Hollywood last week. I got him at 57 last week. I got to imagine he's going to be in the 70s this week just based on what he did last week. So yeah, nothing here for me right now. I'll die before I try to predict the Ravens backfield. So
yeah, don't even mess with that. Not worth it. All right, let's jump to Cincinnati Bengals against the Detroit Lions, a battle of the large cat. Lions are 3.5-point home dogs. Over under is 47.5. Lions coming off a heartbreaking defeat. Poor Dan Campbell. Crying his eyes out, man. You got to feel bad for the guy.
that was
Bengals. It was great. It was great emotion. Show everyone that you care. Bengals coming off a wild loss to the Packers. We have a ton of injuries going on here with the Lions. They have another wide receiver, Quintez Cephas, potentially done for the year. Their Pro Bowl center, I believe, is out as well. I grabbed the Bengals here when this was a flat 3. I also took their money line at -160. I've kind of heard some rumors that the Lions might be a trendy dog here at 3.5 or 4, but I just really don't see it. I think this Bengals team is pretty good. They hung around with the Packers last week. I think this is a decent spot for them to get a road victory, and I think they win by 6 to 7 points. The Lions fight hard to keep it close, but not enough to cover the spread.
Yeah, this is just a fishy line, and I feel like I should love the Bengals here, and I can't get there.
It's not fishy. Just take it.
Detroit's gonna pull out one of these close games. It's gonna happen. They're not. I don't think they're going 0-17.
This isn't the week.
They've moved the ball too well. They've been in position to win a couple games. It's gonna happen. Cincinnati offensive line still a huge issue in pass protection, and Detroit's actually been getting to the quarterback pretty decent this year. Can they stop them enough to get them in passing downs and get to Burrow? I don't know. We'll see. Cincinnati, to me, they're just a very average team. They're kind of similar to the Raiders. They've really benefited from big plays in every game.
Better than the Raiders.
No, I said similar to the Raiders. They've benefited from big plays in every game. I feel like there hasn't been enough consistent.
That's because they have good deep threat wide receiver. Like, it's not like it's happening by chance.
That's fine. So the Raiders, and what did I say the last 2 weeks? Shut down the big play, and you beat the Raiders, and they've lost the last 2 weeks because they haven't had big plays. That's all I'm saying. Am I saying the Lions
can do that?
Am I saying the Lions are going to do that? I'm just talking through the game. Did I say the Lions are going to shut it down? No, I said they've benefited from it. And if they're
going to keep benefiting,
okay, that's fine. That's your opinion. I'm not backing either side here. Both these teams are bottom 10 on third down. You know that's important to me.
I know you love your third downs.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's an important stat. If you can't stay on the field,
important.
if a team's benefiting from big plays and not staying on the field on third down, that's a big deal. That is important to know in a game.
Yeah, if they hit an 80-yard touchdown on first down, their third down conversion is very relevant.
Okay, yeah, you look at it that way. I have no play here.
All right. Player props. I do have a play that I am very interested to see here. DeAndre Swift. I'm going to be
Yes, that's where I
looking.
was going.
Oh, okay. Over receptions and over receiving yards. Bengals pass defense is bottom 5 in both receptions and receiving yards allowed to opposing running backs. Already talked about the depleted wide receiver core for the Lions. TJ Hawkinson appears to be playing hurt. If we get a number in the high 30s, even the low 40s here, definitely going to be a play for me. He is averaging over 50 receiving yards per game and has been over 40 in 4 of 5. Did I miss anything there?
No, like I said, I love Swift. I was going there too, and then even see where you get Amon-Ra St. Brown's props now with Cephas out as well.
His reception totals, I feel like it was like 2.5, 3.5 the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, I see. If it,
he's not a big yards guy, but the receptions I feel like for him is good.
I'm gonna guess you probably get a 3.5.
Juiced over, maybe.
I mean, he had
plus money.
So he had 8 targets last week, 7 receptions, 65 yards. So, yeah, if we're getting a 3.5, I would probably take 3.5 at minus 120 or better.
I like that. Jamar Chase, longest reception, over 24.5, always in play. Hit literally every week so far. Keep going to it. Anything else here?
Nope.
All right, moving on. Rams, Giants. New York Giants, 9.5-point home dogs. Over under is 48.5. We are starting to get some rumors that it sounds like Daniel Jones may be progressing towards playing. I believe that is what flipped the line here. We had 10.5 for the majority of the week. It just dipped down below 10 to 9.5. I believe it was based on that news. We do not have clarity on the rest of the Giants receiving core for Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, and Kadarius Toney. They are all questionable. Saquon Barkley is out. Kenny Golladay is out. Oh my goodness. Everyone on the Giants is hurt. I can't really break down this game until I know who's playing. I don't know what to do here.
I mean, normally I fade the Giants at home because Daniel Jones stinks at home against the spread, but I don't know. I don't really want to lay 9.5, 10 here with the Rams as much as I think they should dominate this game with all these injuries, whether Jones is in there or Glennon's in there. I think I talked last week how important Barkley is on this offense, and now he's gone. So a huge loss there. No one knows what's going on with the receivers here. There's just way too much going on. The Rams should dominate here. I don't know. Maybe if Jones is confirmed in and this dips closer to 7, maybe then I'll take the Rams.
Oh, if we get this in the teaser range, if this dips below 9, be the teaser leg of the week by far.
Yeah, I already put the Rams money line parlay with the Chiefs, which the odds aren't great, but I feel pretty good about both teams winning. So outside of that, no plays here for me.
Yeah, for me, it's a teaser play on the Rams or nothing. Maybe a live bet if they Giants maybe kick a field goal in their first drive, you get them 6.5, something like that. But for me, I have a couple player props I like here quite a bit. Darrell Henderson over 76.5 rush yards, back-to-back games of 80 plus yards, run heavy game script is expected as the Rams are playing from ahead. Giants D-line is actually now dead last in adjusted line yards per Football Outsiders, and the Rams offensive line has been top 10 in the league at run blocking. Love Henderson this week.
Yeah, it's a little bit higher than I would like. I like the handicap on it. I worry about the Rams being able to get big plays and score off them against this defense, but if it was low 70s, I would probably take it, but I don't love it in the 77, 78 range.
Yeah, we'll see where it opens on FanDuel and some other books. Maybe I feel like you might be able to catch like a 73.5, 74.5 somewhere. All right. Do you have any props here? Because I have one more I want to try and sell you on.
Go for it.
All right. This might be one of my favorite bets of the week.
Is it out yet?
It is out yet. I have.
Okay, I was going to say, are you going to sell me on a prop that's not out yet again?
Nope, it is official right now. You can play it as I am speaking. We have Matthew Stafford under 2.5 rushing yards, minus 110 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Don't shake your head. I didn't break it down for you yet. Giants defensive line is bottom 5 in the league at rushing the passer and generating pressure. The Rams, as we said, are expected to play from ahead, probably rely on the run game. Stafford has one game this year versus the Cardinals. They were playing from behind. He was forced to use his legs a little bit, went 6 for 21 on the ground. Outside of that game, he has gone -5, +1, -2, and -1 rushing yards in his other 4 games. We are talking about an 80% hit rate. And there's a very decent chance that we get a couple quarterback kneel downs at the end of the game here just to push it over the top. Stafford under 2.5 rush yards, one of my favorite bets of the week.
It's too low.
He doesn't run the ball. What do you mean it's too low?
I watched Tom Brady run for a 12-yard run last week. I watched Ben Roethlisberger a few weeks ago run for 7 yards. Plays break down and quarterbacks are forced to run. Look, I get it. He doesn't go over it very often, but
once this year, one time.
I'm just saying it's not. I don't love it.
You're missing out. Great prop.
Okay.
All right. Do you have any props you have here?
No.
Would you look at a Kadarius Toney after his huge game, or are you scared of Jalen
Oh
Ramsey?
man, I was on him last week. I wish that prop was out when we record the podcast. It opened at 45.5, and I absolutely loved that play, and it hit so quickly.
Yeah, I completely missed that.
I gotta imagine it's going to be if he plays in the 70s or something. And I mean, it's going to depend on the health of the other receivers at this point.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, so I can't really.
If Sterling Shepard's back, he's obviously going to lose some targets. So.
I can't. Yeah, that's like. I mean, I got to know when to jump ship. I got a huge discount last week. I can't go right back to him just because, but we'll see.
All right, we'll see what the lines come out and who's playing. Next game, we have Arizona Cardinals against the Cleveland Browns. Line is holding firm at Browns. -3. Over under has dipped down a little bit. I believe this opened at 51.5. It is now down to 49.5. Browns, we have talked about, lost a heartbreaker to the Chargers. Cardinals remain undefeated, although I was not super impressed here with their game last week. So this Browns team, are we a little bit concerned that they might be able to beat up on weaker teams and not necessarily hang with the big boys? Because I am holding some.
Oh, you mean exactly like last year?
Yeah, I'm kind of worried it's like the same thing going on here, because I am holding some Browns over tickets on the season, and I'm getting a little bit concerned that they keep giving up these leads and blowing games to good teams, and the Cardinals are a good team.
Now, look, I'm doing what I can. This will be the 3rd week in a row I'm backing the Browns, and I'm 1-1 right now, and I'm trying to get off them, but look, I just keep looking at these matchups, and I'm going to take Cleveland every single time when they have a massive advantage in the trench where they can run the ball. Yeah, the defense crushed me last week, and I lost last week. I can live with it because they rushed for 240 yards.
Because their offensive line was still good.
Yeah, average 7 yards a carry. Yeah, they converted exactly. Look, Arizona bottom 10 in adjusted line yards, allowing 5.4 yards per carry, which is second worst in the league behind the Chargers. And I think everyone's going to look at the Titans game and they shut down Derrick Henry and think they can eliminate the run. No, you can run on this Arizona defense. Cleveland offense just gave me even more confidence last week watching how Baker played. 200+ rush yards, 6.6 yards per carry. I still don't know how they lost the game, but beside that, they got burned on big plays last week, and obviously I talked about the key 4th down conversions. Cardinals aren't going to be as aggressive on 4th down. They've only went for 3 this entire year. Bad play calling down the stretch screwed Cleveland last week. And like you said, the Arizona did not look great last week. I feel like they've been very vulnerable in more than half their games this year. They easily could have lost to the Vikings. They didn't look great against Jacksonville. Yeah. And the key for me right here is right now in the forecast, 19-mile-per-hour wind, and that only favors Cleveland. Like if there's 20-mile-per-hour wind, and look, I'm not going to put too much stock in that until we get closer, because obviously weather forecasts change like crazy. So maybe Friday I'll be more excited about that. But as of right now, 19-mile-per-hour wind in the forecast. So just I'll say it right now, Cleveland's my favorite bet of the week. I got them at 2.5. So anything 3 or less, I would play them.
Wow. If this turns into a weather game, I will definitely be joining you on the Browns. The only thing holding me up is you say you love how they can run the ball and their offensive line is so good and all that, which is great, but we saw that last week and they still didn't win. And the Cardinals have a good offense.
Fine.
Like if the Browns defense is, that just worries me a little bit.
Yeah, and it's understandable. I completely get that. It's going to scare a lot of people off here, I would think, because the Cardinals can look like a high-powered offense. So, but look, like I said, anytime I have this big of an advantage where the Cleveland should be able to run the ball, I'm going to back them 10 out of 10 times.
All right, you going to be looking at Nick Chubb rushing props or any props for you in this game?
Yeah, Chubb will probably be, honestly, at this point, if he's like 85 or less, I think he's worth a play in these types of matchups. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think you can really go wrong there.
Okay. I have no plays here. We do not have lines yet. So just going off of projections at this point, I guess. All right, let's move on. AFC West divisional battle. Las Vegas Raiders, Denver Broncos. Broncos 3.5 point home favorites. Over under is 44.5. This is a matchup of the fraudiest frauds in the league to see which team that started out 3-0 is the true fraud. John Gruden situation obviously going to play a factor here. I think there's kind of two cases to be made. Either you think it's a giant distraction, and while the Raiders are dealing with the aftermath of the John Gruden situation, the Broncos are preparing, which gives them a leg up. Or you think it could be a rallying cry for the team to get together and get a win for the new coach. Where are you at on the Gruden situation and how it plays into the handicap here?
Yeah, so I think it rallies the team together. I think it's, getting the cancer out of the locker room. I think the spread moved a half point. So once I got the hook, I jumped on the Raiders. Both these teams, another two teams kind of heading in the wrong direction. Denver, like the Panthers, had a cupcake schedule to start the season. So some of their numbers are still inflated. Steelers were able to get a couple big plays against this defense last week. And, Vegas has just kind of been off the past couple of weeks, whether that was due to the Gruden situation or what. Carr was just missing some big plays to Henry Ruggs and Bryan Edwards. Bryan Edwards had a bad drop last week on a big play. So, look, the Raiders defense, I think, is kind of regressing back to what they thought we would be. But I just trust this offense a lot more than I trust Denver's. So, I'm taking the 3.5 in what should probably be a very close divisional game. So, yeah, I'll take 3.5 all here all day.
I had the exact opposite approach. I jumped all over the Broncos at -3 and took their money line around -160. I just don't really see this as a situation where the team rallies together. I just feel like it's kind of a weird situation. It wasn't really like I don't. It's just not like, it's not like the coach was fired and like the team hated him or whatever. Just like all this stuff came out in the last week, and it's just like very weird situation. I think it's more of a distraction than a rallying cry. So I laid it with the Broncos. And I think we've also kind of seen that Derek Carr under pressure, not very good. Derek Carr not under pressure, very good. So if the Broncos, we obviously have Vic Fangio, a defensive minded coach. If he can put some pressure on Derek Carr, I don't think this Raiders offense is anything special.
Do you really think the Broncos are 3 points better than the Raiders right now, though?
At home, yeah.
All right.
I would have the Broncos like -1, -1.5 on a neutral field, and this is, you give them a couple points for at home. I think the spread makes sense. I'm just backing it. I was leaning the Broncos, and then this whole Gruden situation pushed me over the edge. I think it's more of a distraction to me.
All right, we are looking at it a different way.
Okay.
And
Any player props?
Look forward to being right.
Blah blah blah. All right, player props in this game. We do have lines posted. Did anything jump out at you?
I wanted to play Josh Jacobs. His rush yards are just too low, 52.5, but he's getting the carries. He's just under 4 yards per carry every week. And normally, like, when
the problem is he's not very good.
That's well, I think it's more their line. And I don't know, maybe I'll get there, but 52.5 just seems low for a guy who kind of, he's pretty clear their number one back. And normally these are just blind volume plays for me, but normally I don't put too much stock in the yards per carry because I feel like there's, positive regression in some circumstances, but he was the same way last year. I don't know. He was probably 4 or less last year in yards per carry as well. So I don't know. That was my only one that a little bit stuck out to me because I don't know what to make of this Raiders passing game in terms of who the alpha is, because even Darren Waller hasn't been as dominant over the past few weeks.
Yeah. I couldn't get there with Jacobs. He hasn't been over 50 yards in any game this season. I did have 2 plays here. I played Javonte Williams. I took half a unit on over 43.5 rush yards and half a unit over 63.5 rushing plus receiving yards on DraftKings. He is still splitting work about 50-50 with Melvin Gordon, but he has hit the over on these numbers in 4 out of 5 games, and they have been getting him more involved in the passing game. He has 3 catches in each of the last 3 games after only seeing 1 catch in the first 2 weeks. So I think this is a good spot for the rookie to keep getting some yards. And I also took a play. You're going to love this one. Foster Moreau. Would you like to guess what his receiving yardage total is at?
Dude, all I can say is I've been looking at this dude's props and just trying to get myself to take an under like every week they've been posted. So I
This
assume
is the week.
I assume
Join
that's
me.
where you're going. Every single week I've been like looking up Foster Moreau and I haven't taken the under yet. So if you're doing it this week, maybe I'll join you. But get ahead and lay it on me.
All right, under half a receiving yard, half of 1 yard. He erupted for 2 catches and 34 yards in week 2. Since then, the last 3 weeks, he has seen 2 total targets and has 1 catch for 8 yards. His snaps have been 20% and 30% the last 2 weeks, offensive snaps. And my favorite metric, routes run. This is a blocking tight end. He has ran 6 routes in week 4 and 4 routes last week. He ran a route on 4 plays in the game. Give me the under half a receiving yard all day.
All right.
Foster Moreau, we're going under. That's it for me on this game.
All right.
Let's jump to Cowboys and the Patriots. Ruse, Dallas Cowboys are 3.5 point road. I mean, well, what do you want me to do at this point? You bet them every single week. 3.5 point road favorites. Over under is up to 51.5. This game opened at 48.5, so quite a bit of steam to the over. For me, I think the handicap here is pretty simple. I think this Cowboys offense has ascended to be one of the elite units in the league, similar to the level of the Chiefs and the Bucs, where you can pretty much guarantee them for 27 points each and every week. And I just don't see how this New England offense ever puts up enough points to compete here. They lack offensive playmakers. I hate their red zone offense. Every running back on the team fumbles. Mac Jones, obviously a rookie. He doesn't have enough help around him. Like the Patriots they're just dead against these elite offensive teams. They're not going to be able to keep up. And I know they had the one game against the Bucs, but like it was like a hurricane. It was torrential downpour all game. Antonio Brown dropped like 3 passes. Outside of that, assuming the weather's fine, which I didn't see any issues with the weather when I checked earlier in the week, I think the Cowboys offense is just too explosive.
Oh, I saw some rain possibly in the forecast.
Oh, really? Maybe it was changing because I looked like late Monday night, I think.
We'll have to see closer to game time. But if there is, depending on how bad the rain is, I would definitely take an under 51.5 here. But
yeah, that's a good one.
Look, I bet this last Thursday or Friday before the week.
I bet this 3 weeks before the season and got the Cowboys.
If you saw Cowboys -1 in this spot, would you not take it? I mean, I'm getting the Cowboys at basically.
I don't bet games before the prior week.
That's fine, and I really haven't been, but I knew this wasn't
every week. You come on and say you bet a game before the prior.
All right, maybe I do one. All right, one a week maybe. But look, now I'm sitting on the right side. I have -1 right now.
It worked out. Yeah, you're right.
It worked out big time, and I feel like the 3.5 right now. The books are just daring people to take the Cowboys, and it almost scares me. 3.5. I feel like this should be like it was. I think up at 5 at one point, but I don't know. 3.5 to me is just extremely fishy. Cowboys are obviously going to be a huge public team in this spot. Bill Belichick's historically known for taking away your best weapon and whatever it is you do best. But this team has a ton of weapons.
They have 5 best weapons.
And they've shown they can beat you through the air or on the ground and with defense at this point. So, like you said, I just don't think the Patriots have enough. I'm absolutely thrilled to have a -1 here.
Yeah, I love it. I wonder what the Cowboys team total is. Have you seen that?
I have not.
They are at 28. I think that was lower earlier in the week. All right, I might look at a Cowboys over 3.5 team touchdowns as well. But I'm with you. I'm in on the Cowboys. I got them at -2.5. I'd still play them here. Fine with their money line. For props, I'm going to be looking at a Zeke touchdown. It's a little bit tough with the Cowboys offense just because there's so many weapons. But we've seen Zeke touchdown prices have been pretty reasonable the past few weeks. I think it was like -135 last week. I was all over that. May get steamed up a little bit after a 2 touchdown game, but he's scored in 4 straight. And has looked fantastic ever since I claimed Tony Pollard to be the best running back in the backfield. So you're welcome for the motivation, Mr. Elliott. Anything for you?
No, I feel like Amari Cooper tempts me every week with his low 60 line, but again,
he annoys me. He's like a boomer bust. Like he's going to get 150 yards or he might get like 30.
Yeah, so I hit it 2 weeks ago. I ended up not taking it last week, and I don't think he went over, but I never know if this Cowboys team is going to just commit to the run and Dak's only going to throw for under 200 yards or if they're going to need to do it through the air. So I don't know. We'll see what Belichick's game plan is. So it's kind of tough for me to take any props here right now.
Yeah, it kind of seems like they come out running, and if Zeke's just getting 6 or 7 yards of carry, they just ride that. And if not, they're like, all right, fine, we'll just pass the ball and beat you that way. So it kind
Yeah.
of just depends on how they have success earlier if they get stifled. All right, let's move to our debate of the week. Sunday Night Football, the matchup we are all waiting to see. The Seattle Seahawks and Geno Smith traveling east to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers and Big Ben Roethlisberger. Steelers are 4.5-point home favorites. Over under is 42.5. Let me get this up here on the screen. Got a nice debate of the week title there. All right. Would you like to state your case first, or would you like to let me go first?
Go ahead. I like when you go first because your case is always
you always
suck,
complain
so
about everything. All right. For me, this is an easy sell high spot here on the Steelers. If you want to take the Steelers in a pick 'em, a game that's like 1 or 2 point spread either way, like last week, that's fine. But under no circumstances would I ever lay 4.5 points with this Steelers offense. Everyone is so impressed with their performance last week against the Broncos. Yes, they won. They covered. No one seems to mention the fact that the Broncos drove down the field 75 yards and were at the 3-yard line with a chance to tie the game and potentially win it in overtime. I know you're going to mention how Najee Harris had a fantastic game running the ball, 23 carries for 122 yards. That was huge for their offense. But it was just 1 week. We have 4 weeks of data that suggest their offensive line sucks and they won't be able to run the ball. Najee was averaging 3.4 yards per carry prior to last week, and the advantage in the trenches goes to the Seahawks. I have a trench advantage on you. Seattle's defense is 17th in DVOA against the run, and their defensive line is ranked 20th.
17th isn't good.
The Steelers have the 30th ranked offensive line in the league. I'm saying they
No,
have
I
an
understand
advantage.
that.
I'm not
Okay,
saying they have
yeah.
a great run defense, but I'm saying
the Broncos had an advantage too. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean they have a good line. I mean, okay. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you in your fantastic case you were making.
Okay.
Are you gonna mention that Geno Smith is playing quarterback for the Seahawks?
Yes. Geno Smith is playing quarterback for the Seahawks. This is more of a bet against the Steelers than it is on the Seahawks. But I think with Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, I think Chris Carson's going to be back. I think there's enough weapons there. I think Metcalf can hit a long touchdown. I think there's enough weapons there for the Seahawks to put up 17 points. And I think that's going to be enough. We have an over-under of 42.5. I don't see the Steelers putting up more than 20 points. I will give you the floor now, and I swear to God, if you start spitting out some Mike Tomlin, Big Ben home record against the spread trends, I'm leaving.
I don't need to. First of all,
that's what you always do. Like,
first of
Mike
all,
Tomlin historically.
Did they cover last week? And yeah, I said last week I was going to take the Broncos if Bridgewater played. So I apologize if anyone followed me on that. I ended up taking the Steelers. I ended up taking the Steelers,
nice
and
advice.
It felt great to win money on them. Regardless, let me combat what you just said about they have Metcalf and Lockett, and Geno Smith is the quarterback. The freaking Dolphins have Devontae Parker, Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, but they don't have a freaking quarterback, so they still suck. It doesn't matter if the weapons are there and you have a crappy quarterback. Geno Smith, 30 touchdowns, 37 interceptions in his career. We saw him throw one last week under pressure.
The guy fell down. That was not a bad throw. The guy fell on his route.
He threw an interception.
A guy like fell. What do you want him to do?
Dude, a guy like Geno Smith finds ways to turn the ball over.
That's
so
ridiculous.
Your bet against the Steelers and not for the Seahawks, you're still backing Geno Smith. And even with Russ, this offense still couldn't fully figure it out. They averaged only 24 points per game with one of the best quarterbacks in the league and all these weapons, only 350 yards per game, 26 in the league on third down. They're living off big plays right now. And Geno doesn't have even close to that ability to throw the ball downfield like Russ does. Seattle O-line, massive concern in pass rush, like I said last week, 7th worst in adjusted sack rate, and that would be even worse if Wilson didn't have the ability to escape pressure like he does. And again, Geno does not have near the ability that Russ does in that. Steelers, yeah, you can say it was a fluke week or whatever, yeah, and maybe it was. It was 1 out of 4 weeks. It was very good to see them. They completed 250-plus yard passes, which was nice to see. Like you said, they did establish a run game. Maybe it was just 1 week, but that completely changed their offense. Maybe they figured something out. Maybe it was a fluke, but teams have had success running against Seattle. And even if you understandably doubt this Pittsburgh offense, I'm not going to argue with you on that. I won't make a case for that. It's about the defense and Geno Smith. He's going to be under pressure, and I think Seattle can just beat themselves in this case. I took the Steelers at 3.5. I'm fine debating at the 4.5, but I don't see how the Seahawks are putting up enough points here.
They don't have to put up that many points. That's part of the problem. I don't think the Steelers are scoring that much.
That's fine, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Seahawks scored less than 10 points.
13-10.
All right.
All right. Do you have any props here? I don't have anything that I would even think about looking at in this game in terms of props. I do not expect much offense here.
I was waiting for them to come out. They had like a few out.
We got Najee rush yards, and I think that was maybe Ben pass yards. That was about it.
I would maybe look at Najee receptions with Juju now out. They might work him a little bit more in the underneath passing game. So maybe I would lean there if you get like a 3.5 or 4.5. So
I wonder if that's out yet. Let me check real quick. I do not see that up yet, but I like that look. That is a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump to Monday Night Football. We have the Buffalo Bills taking on the Tennessee Titans. Titans are 5.5-point home underdogs. Don't mind my screen here. I'm just going to be updating this game that it is an underdog. Matchup. Oh, wait. I am on the wrong game here. All right, go ahead. I'll kick this one over to you. I need to update the screen.
All right. Look, I got Titans +6 here. And as you know, I usually come on here. We go through every game. I provide a ton of reasons why I'm backing each team, why I'm not, blah, blah. So I'm allowed to do this. This is just one of those bets. I don't have any numbers to back it up other than it's just a feel that this is too many points. It's too many points. I took the 6. I was waiting for the 6 all week. I have nothing. I don't have it. The Bills are the number 1 team in the league, number 1 defense, top 5 offense. Whatever. The Titans defense sucks. It just feels like too many points. The 6 it's a gut feel that I'm following, taking the home underdog on a Monday night at +6. So that's what I got. Look, that's all I got for you.
That may have been the best analysis you've ever provided on this podcast. And I feel the exact same way. I had zero intention of ever betting against the Bills this week. And every time I checked the spreads, the number got a little bit higher and it was up another half point, another half point. I did the same thing. I texted you earlier. I said, how did this line get to 6? Like, where are we right now? And all of a sudden I'm finding myself back in the Titans too. It just was not expecting this at all.
So earlier in the week, I was looking at this. It was at like 5 or whatever. I'm like, that seems like a little bit too much. I really don't want to bet against the Bills, but I set my phone to alert me when it got the +6. I'm like, it's never gonna
get the alert.
I'm like, it's never gonna get there. I don't have to worry about that. I'm not gonna be betting against the Bills. And then sure enough, it gets to 6, and I'm like, oh my god, I got to do it. So.
Yeah, this one's really getting out of hand.
Yeah, here we are. I am holding Titans +6 with all the information in the world to back it up.
Yeah. The one thing I will feel good about is if we get Julio Jones back. I know he's still questionable, but it sounded like he was getting closer. So if we do have him, AJ Brown, and Derrick Henry all out there, I do think that may give them a better chance at moving the ball against this excellent Bills defense.
And in all honesty, I think this is how I feel about this. It's going to come down to the first drive of the game, whether the Titans get the ball or the Bills get the ball. If they can limit the Bills to a field goal at least, I'll feel pretty good about it. And if the Titans can go down and score on the first drive, if they get the ball, I'll feel pretty good about it. So I'm going to know pretty quick about where I stand on this bet to start the game.
I mean, I don't know if I would necessarily call the bet one
no,
way
I'm
or
not,
the other
not
after
calling
one
it one.
drive.
I'm saying how I feel. I'm saying how I feel about it. Like if the Bills get the ball and get first down, touchdown, it's like, all right, I'm screwed. The Titans aren't going to be able to stop them all game. Like last week against the Chiefs. Last week against the Chiefs, when after the Bills got the ball a couple times and they were just going up and down the field, I'm like, all right, I got this easily. Bills +3s, no sweat. So I feel like it's going to be that same type of thing.
Okay. All right. Anything else to say here? Would you look at any props? I don't have anything in this game. It's obviously, you never want to bet against Derrick Henry, but this is probably going to be his toughest matchup of the year so far. So I'm curious to see where his yards are at, but I don't really have any great.
Here's how I would play this with Henry. You're going against the number 1 rush defense in the league. They're definitely going to be keying on him, obviously. I think if he has a rough first half, say he comes out with only 30 yards in the first half, if you get a live line of Henry at like 60 yards, if he has like 30 at half, I would take that over at halftime because every week, Henry just explodes in the second half because you give this guy 30 carries, he's going to start popping. He wears on the defense. So I think if he has a rough first half, the books are going to, obviously look at that and then look at, all right, this is a tough matchup and they're not making anything of it. I think you're going to get a pretty good halftime line on Henry if he starts to struggle, and I would take the live over.
The only thing you do have to watch out for that is just make sure you keep the game script.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I agree with your analysis,
point.
but if the Bills are up 21-7 or whatever, there's only so many rushing opportunities for Henry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. If it's a close game, we know Henry always comes alive in the fourth quarter more than he does in the first three. So I'm with you. All right, let's jump to our long shots of the week. This is a segment where we give out our favorite bets priced at plus 200 or higher. And we're going to hit them right now. I'll kick it to you to give us your long shot of the week first.
All right, so we're going to London, baby.
Wow, I was going to go to London. Go ahead.
Oh, you are? We can have the same one. You kind of touched on it earlier and took mine, but
go ahead.
I'm going James. The line's not posted now yet, so it'll be one of the player performance doubles on FanDuel, or you can do a SGP on FanDuel. James Robinson, 75 yards, and the Jaguars to win. So Jaguars money line was around 150, 160. So you're going to get probably close to like 250 for this. So James Robinson, 75 yards, and a Jaguars upset in London over the Miami Dolphins.
I absolutely love it. We're just making this an official podcast long shot because I was basically going to say the exact same thing. Robinson, like 80 yards, a touchdown, and Jags money line or something like that.
All right.
So I am with you.
We can have the same long shot. That's fine.
We're riding to London together. We're going to come home a winner.
We're going to take this on the chin next week if the Jaguars, like, we can't come on here and talk all this highly of the Jaguars and not wear it on the chin if they get smoked.
We will own it 100%.
Yeah.
And it will be fitting for me if Tua comes out and absolutely lights up the Jaguars after I backed him all preseason. And then he showed me nothing so far. So that'll be a fun one. All right. Our favorite bets of the week. I will give you the honors to, I know you already said it, but just recap for everyone who may have missed the full breakdown. Give us a little snippet here of your favorite bet of the week.
Yeah, so sorry, I did spoil it, but I'm going with the Browns. Like I said, I got them at -2.5. I would play 3 or less. I just think this is a great matchup for them. And again, this is Cardinals aren't going undefeated, and I think this is going to be the toughest matchup for them that they've had so far. Browns are going to be able to take advantage on the ground, and if that wind does hold close to 20 miles per hour, I just love this even more, and I might even double down on the Browns come Saturday if that's still in the forecast.
All right. Love it. My favorite bet of the week. I do like the Bengals a lot at a flat 3, but now that it's at 3.5, we have some limited games here. I'm going to go with a player prop for the week. And boy, oh boy, if I have declared it National Ricky Seals-Jones Day.
How can you call it before the line's out? I don't like that.
I'm going to set parameters around it. I'm not ever telling anyone to blind bet. If it comes out at 58.5, like, yes, we're not betting Ricky Seals-Jones anymore. If the line is anywhere below 45.5, my favorite bet of the week is going to be Ricky Seals-Jones over receiving yards. As a backup, you can just take the Bengals at -3.5 if we don't get the line that we want.
God, I hate that.
What, the Bengals?
The Bengals.
I don't get why you're not on the Bengals.
I don't know. I'm not on the line. I don't know.
Your only hesitation is that the Lions have to win a game at some point.
No, I didn't say it. I didn't say they have to win. I said they're going to.
But either way, that doesn't mean they're going to win this week.
That is not the only point I brought to the table, mind you.
I didn't hear much more than that.
All right, well, certainly better than your debate arguments.
Yeah, there we go. All right, Ricky Seals for me, our favorite bet of the week. Let's get to our final segment here, our parlay of the day, which is going to be our chalk donkey parlay because it's the only parlay we can hit these days.
Dude, it's profitable. I mean, that's fine.
If it's hitting every week, let's just hit it. So we have for options here, we have the Cowboys at -184. Not necessarily a great chalk donkey leg, but it's an option. We have the Rams at -480.
I think you go Bucks, Chiefs, Rams, you get +120.
Bucks, Chiefs, Rams, +120. Okay.
I mean, it's 3 road teams, so it's not really ideal, but
would you consider the Colts? Like, I almost don't even want to look at them.
No, I don't. I honestly think Texans money line is live in that game.
Really?
I really do.
Wow. That would be the ultimate. nail
There
in the
is
Carson Wentz coffin.
there is nothing I could hate. The only thing I could hate more about this spot for the Colts is if it was a road game.
Yeah.
So,
I wish the Texans didn't look so good last week. I feel like they like losing that heartbreaker. I feel like took a little bit out of them for me. I would have liked it if they were just kind of like a meh team last week.
see, I think they smelled victory. They smelled the hot cooked
Could go
meal,
that
but
route.
they didn't eat it yet. Now they're just hungry for it.
All right, hungry dogs run faster. See if the Texans can win.
All right.
All right, so that's going to be our chalk donkey parlay of the week, plus 120 Rams, Chiefs, Bucks, money line parlay. Anything else to say here?
Nope.
All right, keep an eye on our Twitter page at BetRightPod. Keep an eye on the YouTube channel, the BetRight Sports Betting Podcast. Give us a subscribe. Smash the thumbs up button on the YouTube page. We're going to do something with player props later this week. We'll see if it's a video or an article or how we want to get them out to you guys. Like we said, if you want to follow us on Action Network, you can see all of our props there. I forget what your name is. I'm at BetRight_Jeff. You're
just Andrew_Tansey, Tansey.
All right. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. 5-star review on Apple Podcasts from Jeff and Rue here. We are the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast because every time you bet with us,
God,
you bet right.